Immediately be a massive round of 32 game.
Well, let's take it even further, Adrian, since we're going to play that game.
Don't we like to at this time of year?
Yes. Let's say that they finish first in their group, as we expect Argentina to do. And assuming that Spain's group goes the way that we expect it to go, then Uruguay would finish second in that group, which then would mean that Argentina would play against Uruguay. And that would be a competitive match and a tough match for Argentina. But let's assume that they get past Uruguay. There's a potential that if the United States finish second in their group, the round of 16 match would be the U.S. Good old U.S. of A. against this Argentina team.
Yeah, I'll sign up for that, Ali.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure that Pochettino will, but
well, what a night that would be for him, by the way.
Yes, it would.
There's Johannesson trying to open things up. In the middle, IsLand still enjoying a brief period of possession here. Argentina just sitting back for a few moments. Long ball over the top. Nice idea. Execution not quite there, and Rulli has it.
I was about to say that it's a possession that wasn't going really anywhere, and eventually they try to go for the ball over the top, but a straight ball down the middle of 40 yards. Really difficult to complete that sort of pass. Still 1-0 Argentina, but the pace of the game, and I'm going to blame it on the cooling break, Adrian, the pace of the game has dropped off. Argentina and their ability or willingness to go press the ball higher up the field has also dropped off. And yeah, let's get excited. Lionel Messi.
Yeah. You sure it's not Enzo Fernandez they're cheering?
No, nor is it Cristian Romero either.
It's Lisandro Martinez, Manchester United man at the back, who had an injury-racked campaign but is fit at the right time. Here's an opportunity for Simeone, and the shot in the end right at Olafsson.
We really
scored, didn't he, on Saturday?
Yeah, we really haven't talked enough about Giuliano Simeone in this game, and it's because, well, he hasn't really participated all that much. Change the side comes from the right-hand side, but we have seen him with Atletico Madrid, how dangerous he can be when he makes those runs from outside to in and in behind. That's the way that he scored against Honduras, and a nice little layoff from Lautaro Martinez, and it's also the way that he got Pau Cubarsí thrown out in Champions League.
Yeah.
And playing against Barcelona. When he makes those runs from outside to in and gets in behind and times it well, he's really dangerous and always active, always a willing runner.
Well, you and I, Ali, get to see plenty of Atletico Madrid, and a couple of times this past season where Simeone was perhaps the most dangerous attacking threat at times, and that's in a team with Julian Alvarez in it.
And assuming, of course, that Lionel Messi's on the field. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. Cheap giveaway. Can Argentina exploit it? Nice ball over the top. Good goalkeeping there by Olafsson. Needed to be. As Nico Paz got on the end of this.
How many of these turnovers have we seen from IsLand? There's good ball in behind from Valentin Barco. Nico Paz, willing runner, and Olafsson makes this save squarely with his nose. Takes it off the face, makes himself big, makes a save. Good run from Nico Paz. He thinks he scored, but good save from Olafsson.
Important part of any goalkeeper's armoury, Ali. Barco.
I'm sure you're going to ask me, Agent. I have no idea what just happened.
Nope. to Mestre. There was somehow an offside in that sequence, but
maybe, but I didn't see the assistant referee with a flag raised.
Right.
What do I know?
Still Argentina, a goal to the good, thanks to that man. Valentin Barco puts in another rambunctious challenge, shall we say. And now he's going to be booked.
It's a side note. Was there not a bigger uniform for the referee today? He's wearing the medium. Valentin Barco once again late. He was late on the two-footed challenge earlier on. It comes again with a out of control flyby sort of challenge, deserving of a yellow card.
Final few minutes of the first half here at the home of the Tigers. So much college football history in this building. For the first time ever, an international friendly. And, plenty of people have journeyed here from far and wide. Melbourne released a statistic saying more than a third of the attendance tonight was from people who'd never been to an event in this stadium before.
And I'm sure for both sets of players, they have been training in the facilities of Auburn University. They're probably thinking to themselves, this.
Oh, a shot all along the ground by Johannesson.
Yeah, it's a good setup play from Iceland. Nice little layup, hits it well by straight at Jeronimo Rudi. The point to be made is most of those players are probably asking, wait a minute, these are the facilities of a university?
This is college?
Yeah. I think that sometimes is taken for granted in this country.
Yeah. Now, Oscarson, seen very little of him and wastes that opportunity with a heavy touch.
The college athletic setup in this country is totally different than anywhere else in the world. It just doesn't exist to the level that it does here in the United States. Nor
really
is the sort of money involved in college athletics anywhere else around the world like there is here in this country.
88,000 at the stadium. Still only the 11th largest on-campus stadium in this country. By far the biggest stadium in most soccer nations around the country, or around the globe, I should say.
Now, if we're talking about college athletics and the money of college athletics and Auburn University and their facilities, because the game is not giving us much.
Yeah, it's just kind of ebbed away, hasn't it, over the last 10-15 minutes? It's as though Argentina were happy just to ease their way towards the half-time break. Iceland have a little more of the ball. As you pointed out, they haven't exactly done too much with it yet. And that trend continues. We are watching the Road to 26 with us here on ESPN, presented by Turkish Airlines. A flurry of games over the weekend. I hope you were able to enjoy some of those. Brazil in action, Argentina. Morocco-Norway game.
Magnuson comes late. And Flaco Lopez once again with a nice little touch. Gets around the defender. By the time the defender gets there, ball is already gone. Clearly a foul.
Martinez to Otamendi. Qualifying, as you mentioned, Ali, was an absolute breeze for Argentina. Finished 9 points clear at the top of common ball after that marathon 3-year process. And that included the first ever World Cup qualifying win in Brazil. They'd never done it before.
And I think what those of us that have gone through the qualifying process in CONMEBOL and now how difficult it is, what is to be admired from Argentina in this particular qualification cycle is the fact that they were so consistent with their level of performance. And while everybody else was scrambling to get results, they seemed to get 3 points at a time, and it created the sort of separation that then allowed them to cruise in qualifier towards the end. Everybody else was scrambling. Argentina had been qualified for months already. It was never in doubt, but they certainly took any doubt away very early on.
Yeah. One of the first teams to pencil their names in for World Cup 2026. Here they are trying to put a capper on their first half display. Nico Paz has been driven a little wide ultimately. That was a position that promised much and delivered very little there for Argentina. That should just about do it for this first half, and indeed the half-time whistle sounds. I don't know if it's a 45 minutes you can easily sum up, Ali, but Argentina lead by a goal to nil thanks to Valentin Barco.
Yeah. First 22-23 minutes from Argentina, very good, very active, engaged. The last 22-23 minutes, forgettable from both teams.
So, plenty to tuck into for our boys in the ESPN FC studio at halftime. That would be Dan Thomas and Stuart Robson. Argentina leading by a goal to nil. Alabama staging its first ever major international friendly, and the crowd have come out in force and are making the most of it, seeing off the defending World Cup champions Argentina into their defense of the trophy. The last stop before that begins, and 1-0 up against Iceland here tonight so far. Adrian Healy with Alejandro Moreno alongside, and now most of the people here will be wondering what they're going to see in the second half and what particular personnel they may be seeing in the second half, Alec.
I can tell you that done my homework, and I believe I saw Enzo Fernandez given the old 5-yard sprints, 10-yard sprints that are an automatic sign that he's going to be coming onto the field. As for everybody else, they're just holding jerseys with their hands, so they're not quite ready to go just yet. And more importantly, I'm sure that people are talking and thinking about Lionel Messi and how much time he's going to get today. Their guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
I would assume much like what Stewie was talking about in the studio, 15-20 minutes. A nominal appearance just to kind of get some touches on the ball, but not much more than that. But we await. More importantly, Argentina as a country awaits to see exactly what is it that Lionel Messi is ready to give this team right about now.
Yep. But as you just pointed out, it looks like Enzo Fernandez is going to get the nod.
Rodrigo de Paul is as well, Christian Romero, Alexis McAllister. All right, we got a lot of changes, Adrian.
Yep. I think we saw Barco, who really caught the eye in the first half, looking like he's not going to continue. Iceland making their way back out, as we mentioned. We'll be watching from the sidelines this World Cup after their one appearance in 2018. Here's the man that could have given them a shock lead early on, Mikael Ellertson. I've actually been told about one switch for Iceland. We'll try and confirm that for you in just a moment, but it looks like there's going to be several for for the Argentines. In fact, a little warm-up routine going on.
I'm telling you, if you're making this sort of sprint, it's a telltale sign. It's like somebody holding the back of their legs. You know, they've done their hamstring. When you're doing this sort of stuff, it's because you're going on the field. So Lautaro's on for Jose Manuel Lopez.
Yeah, that's the Icelandic switch we're looking at there, which is Christian Haldson who's come on.
So Fernandez and Rodrigo de Paul are in. Barco and Lo Celso are off.
And underway at the start of the second half. And for Argentina now going from left to right. This is the Road to 26, brought to you by Turkish Airlines, and confirmation of the switches now for Argentina. Barco, an impressive first half, making way for Rodrigo de Paul. Enzo Fernandez on for Giovanni Lo Celso.
I believe Leandro Paredes is also on the field.
Alexis McAllister is on for Palacios. Straight switch in the center of the park.
Never mind, not Leandro Paredes, Alexis McAllister. You're correct, Adrian.
And Lautaro Martinez will get the second half here in place of Jose Lopez. Giuliano Simeone still very much out there. Martinez, who scored the opener for Argentina on Saturday in their win against Honduras, scored from the penalty spot. Giuliano Simeone got the second in that 2-0 win.
And as I mentioned on Saturday, it could be a big World Cup for Lautaro Martinez. Now, let's not forget that going back 4 years to the World Cup win in Qatar, he started against Saudi Arabia, didn't play well, was nursing an ankle injury, didn't have the best World Cup, ended up scoring a big penalty kick in the penalty kick shootout against the Netherlands, and was seconds away from actually scoring the game winner, potentially game winner against France in the World Cup in the extra time period. This is an opportunity now for Lautaro Martinez because we don't know what the status of Julian Alvarez is. And so you feel if the attack of Argentina is going to thrive, and if Julian Alvarez is not at his best, then it has to be Lautaro Martinez who is that guy leading the line, leading the front line for Argentina alongside with Lionel Messi.
Yeah. And behind Messi, he's the second highest goal scorer for Argentina in the Lionel Scaloni era, which now dates back to early 2019.
I'm going to guess we're yelling and screaming because Lionel Messi got off his backside and is actually doing some sort of warm-up.
I suspect your powers of deduction are spot on as always, Mr. Moreno. As Paz trying to launch another attack for Argentina. Simeone back inside to Nico Paz. Rodrigo de Paul. Former Atletico Madrid man, of course, who's now with Lionel Messi in South Florida, playing for Inter Miami.
Alexis McAllister, leading the game, number 21, Jose Manuel Lopez, replaced by number...
And there it is.
Oscarson.
mentioned Rodrigo de Paul, Adrian, and I was talking about this during the match against Honduras, that they're going to need him to pick up his level of play. Hasn't been playing all that well with Inter Miami early on in the season. In fact, I would argue that he has been very underwhelming in the early part of the season in Major League Soccer. Maybe he was saving himself for the World Cup, but they need him to be at his best if indeed Argentina is going to be successful. Not only in the role of sort of protecting Lionel Messi, but in the role of actually winning possession higher up the field, distributing play, and providing this team with that energy and that intensity and that bite that you need in the midfield. If you're going to have Lionel Messi walking around the field, you're going to need guys like Rodrigo de Paul to be at their best in order to regain possession of the ball.
Yeah. And he's another now, the wrong side of 30, 32, de Paul. For 86 appearances for his national team. We talked about how difficult it is historically for World Cup holders to then repeat, how infrequently it's happened. It's actually been the opposite that's been more common of late. 3 of the last 4 World Cup winners have gone out in the group stage of the following tournaments. You think of Italy in 2010 in South Africa, Spain in 2014 in Brazil, and then Germany in 2018 in Russia. Of course, France bucked that trend last time out, Ali. They were the holders and they got all the way back to the final.
And then as we project what this Argentina team is going to look like in the World Cup, and let's think about the players that are no longer here. Most of them seem to have been recalled by Lionel Scaloni. The absence of a guy like Angel Di Maria, and how much are they going to miss him and his ability to stretch back lines, because he's always willing to run in behind. Who's that player that is going to give you that dimension? Maybe perhaps Juliano Simeone, maybe if Nico Gonzalez is healthy, perhaps he gives you that, but not quite at the level of Angel Di Maria. They'll miss him in this World Cup.
Yeah, he's the one big name that is gone, finally retired from national team duty. And it's amazing now, Ali, to think back at some of the reaction and the derision directed at Lionel Scaloni when he was handed the reins of the Argentina national team back in 2019. But what a run it's been. Started with 3rd place at Copa America in 2019, then won it the next 2 editions. Here is his team on the prowl again, looking for a second. Nice work by Simeone to tee it up. Is there an end product? Enzo Fernandez trying to provide one, but Olafsson narrowing down the angle, and Iceland able to breathe again.
And I don't mind the decision from Juliano Simeone. It's good ball in behind from Rodrigo de Paul, but swing the ball in and squeeze it to where you can find the center forward. In this case, Lautaro Martinez, although his movement wasn't the best inside the 18-yard box, he's putting his hands down like, give it to my feet. But if you move, you can actually find a tapping at the back post. But Lautaro Martinez was just coming towards the ball, and eventually, once the ball got to Enzo Fernandez, they ran out of space. Ice unable to create to clear the danger.
Well, the crowd not being shy about what they want to see.
So I was about to say that Juliano Simeone should have just delivered that ball into the space for the run of Lautaro Martinez, but there was no run from Lautaro Martinez.
Yeah.
And at that point, that's why Juliano Simeone sort of cuts the ball in behind and is kind of waiting for movement to come from Enzo Fernandez or Alexis McAllister. And while Lautaro was demanding the ball, if I were Juliano Simeone, I would demand movement from Lautaro.
Corner kicks in our game being brought to you by Enterprise. is the Iceland corner whipped in. Nice delivery, and it was just touched behind. It'll be take two from the opposite corner. Some work for Geronimo Rulli to do. It is Albert Gudmundsson, the man who plays in Italy with Fiorentina, to take this. And again, just touched on. Argentina defence able to repel the threat.
Much like I said about Rodrigo de Paul and him having to elevate his level of play, I'll say the same thing about Alexis McAllister, who had a tough season with Liverpool. There's no way to say, other way to say it. Now, he wasn't the only player that was underwhelming and underperforming for Liverpool, but certainly one of those guys that, if Argentina are going to be successful, he needs to elevate his level of play, and consistently so. Not just for moments, but for 90 minutes at a time.
Yeah. And he's been part of this Argentina setup for best part of 7 years now. Alexis McAllister. He's been with Liverpool for the last 3. A little pocket here for Lautaro Martinez. Is the shot on? Martinez pivoting back to Hiai. Right back in comes the cross, but it was a moment that seemed to promise much for Argentina.
Lo confirmo con usted.
Oscarson closing down, but Cannon's behind harmlessly. Oscarson, who wears number 9 for Iceland, grabbed a couple of goals against Canada. Ken Marsh, Iceland got a really credible 2-2 draw now. The threat is provided by Argentina on the break. Oh, and Nico Paz's ball across, just eluding Lautaro. That full stretch.
It all starts for the two center backs from Iceland challenging for the same ball, and now they get themselves out of position. Nico Paz takes a good first step forward. Now he's going to find Lautaro Martinez. It's a pass that needs to be completed with the right pace, and if it is completed with the right pace, it's a tapping from high counter range, sliding attempt for Lautaro Martinez. Wasted opportunity for Argentina.
More changes forthcoming for Lionel Scaloni, but perhaps not the one they're really waiting for. It's going to be Thiago Almada and Nicolas Gonzalez who come on. Nicolas Gonzalez, another who missed out in 22 in Qatar, picking up a muscle injury just before the tournament. Almada, who did play in Qatar, albeit only 6 minutes. And he's going to replace Nico Paz. Nicolas Otamendi was trying to make way from Gonzalez.
That means that Nico Gonzalez will play as a left back, and Facundo Medina will shift over to the center back position to play alongside Cristian Romero.
De Paul feeding it wide left. Picked off by Gudmundsson for Iceland. Referee tried to